Hey everyone! Starting a few minutes early, more so because I am super excited to play some Planet Zoo, and I guess who would be, who wouldn't be rather, as we go towards making an amazing koala habitat. We've done some work on our previous live stream, and I actually haven't done any work since then, with the exception of the interior, and I'll give you a quick look at what that looks like. But before we start, I just want to make sure that the audio is okay for you guys, specifically the background music. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe just hit up the comment. Just let me know that the music is not too loud, or if it's too loud, and I can adjust before we really kind of dive in. All right. There's a lot going on here that we need to definitely work our way through, and I think that's you know, it's par for the course. It's all about creating something cool and amazing. Bear with me for 2 seconds. It looks like I'm having some slight delays. We'll have to go this way instead. All right, so this is some of the work we did on the exterior. Or I don't know why I speak in the royal we. I've added in some foliage on the exterior just to kind of provide some more life to the outside. I love this metal fence. I find that it works out really well in creating something that looks more modern. And I like it. I also have this amazing skylight that's going to go into our backstage area for Koala, which is probably going to be the focus on today's episode, as we or today's live stream rather, as we work towards creating something that's going to look a little bit more robust, if you will. So bear with me as I go about creating some screenshots as well. I learned from my previous episode, so I want to make sure I get them as we kind of build. That's the important part. So I tried to look for some inspiration for this backstage build, and I struggled really hard, rather a lot, trying to find some really cool looking backstage photos for the koala. So we're going to kind of wing it, because I really don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to take some feedback from one of my other builds, specifically from Sparrow. Hey, Grizz, how's it going? But we're going to build some type of like climbing entrance for our koala, so they have to climb in a little bit. And I think we're going to build it right about here. Which means that we have to get rid of all this amazing work that we did previously. But such is life, right? How's it going, Grizz? Thanks for joining the stream, by the way. Like I mentioned, if the audio is too loud, just let me know in the comments, and we can adjust on the fly. I know we had some issues on the previous stream, so we want to make sure it's going okay. On the music, okay, hang on. Let me know how that sounds. feel like that's going to be perfect. Hopefully. Hopefully it'll be perfect. I think that works really well. And then what we'll probably do is just add in like a little ramp for them to utilize, and then we can start work on the interior. Looking like we're moving up in the world, creating this awesome looking interior for our koala. Can't go wrong. So how is everybody this fine Saturday? I feel you. I was going like I was doing really well on my own schedule. I was like, I have 2 weeks to build something. I was working on Prehistoric Kingdom, and then out of nowhere, like I just lost all my time. That is the $1,000,000 question, though. It's like, what do you, like, where do you, like, how do you keep up the, you know, the work level, I guess. But you want to give us a quick sneak peek at what your next video is going to be? I'd be really curious to hear. I'm always excited by your builds. have our classic painted brick interior. Although we're gonna have to, I might keep the upper half plaster. Kind of makes sense. In my eyes anyway. It makes sense. Like you would have like brick on the bottom because that's really where your animals are gonna be. It's gonna be, brick is a lot easier to clean than plaster. So yeah, I think we're doing really well. That sounds like a pretty involved build. Again, like I've never built a multi-species habitat, which is I'm always amazed when I see them. I find them really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. Oh, separate habitats, but same building. Okay. I look forward to seeing it. That's for sure. Yeah. I see people put them together and I'm always amazed by it. Just they look so fantastic. All right, so we have our main entrance. Now, if I were a koala, I'd want something to kind of climb around on. If I were to kind of come into a habitat. And then have like a few artificial trees back here. That kind of makes sense. Things that they can kind of climb up on their go. It's harder to smooth. Yeah, very true, I guess. I used to work at a, I think the closest I've ever come to like working with animals. I used to work at a vet clinic as a vet tech way back in the day, and it was like we only had like a few. I think we weren't allowed because I was new. I wasn't allowed in the exotic species. I didn't care for any exotic species. It was mostly just dogs and cats. But it was always always a fun experience. Hey, Liz, welcome. Tell us, what are you working on for the challenge? What is your challenge focus? All right on. I love that idea. It was a very free-form challenge, so I'm curious to see what everybody kind of puts together. I'm looking forward to this. If the game will boot. That is always the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be, to your point, I think it's gonna be all over the place, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, a pretty simple design. I think it's going to add a little bit of extra space to our backstage area because if you guys remember in our last stream, we determined that our habitat is not big enough for technically 2 koalas, which is pretty alarming. It looks like it's a rather large habitat, so kind of weird. But I guess at the end of the day, like, it's still quite large. I guess like that's the downside of building on franchise. I guess is like having to deal with like the space constraints. Right, like I just feel like I feel like it's the perfect size, personally speaking, but I guess we're wrong. They were on something, that's for sure. Kind of wondering if I could maybe slip like a something like this in here. They are typically kept separately. Males and females are not. They're not. They're kept in bachelor groups. Like so, all the females together. You typically one male on their own because males can be quite stereotypical or territorial, I believe. With the exception of mating season, where they'll introduce the male at that time. From my limited experience with koalas. I'm shocked that these platforms are not colorable, though. You would think that, like, they would be. That's way too large. Hey, Sparrow. Welcome. Sparrow, what did you think of the Edmonton game? And hey, Birdie, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. I can't believe that Edmonton threw the first 3 games the way they did, and then out of nowhere returned back with like a fury. I'm still shocked by that. I feel like a lot of Canadians were ready to write off the Edmonton Oilers. I think they were ready to be like, yeah, it's not happening. Like, we're over this. I didn't watch the full game, to be honest. I think I kind of was like I think I saw them score a few times. I was like, that's it, they won. And then I turned back and it was like done. It was. I'm just happy that a Canadian team might actually bring it home. It's been a long time since the Stanley Cup was in Canada, so for a Canadian team, it's been in Canada for Canadian players, but not for the team, which is an important distinction. It's been a long time. Hockey! Sorry. Nerdy, Birdie, I totally understand. Go Bruins! I love the Bruins. They're a good team. I'm not a Bruins fan. I am sadly an Ottawa Senators fan, but it's more so like I have to be an Ottawa Senators fan because I live in Ottawa, so like it's kind of like a requirement. Okay. That's the extent. I agree. I'm more of a soccer fan myself. That's where I went last weekend. I watched our local team called Atletico Ottawa. They lost their first game this season, which was a heartbreaker. Definitely believe the refs were in on it. They purposely caused us to lose. I was very sad by that. Some pretty bad calls out there, if you will. But you know what? We're not here to talk about sports. We're here to talk about Planet Zoo. Which let's talk about this quick and dirty looking backstage area. I kind of like the glass look as opposed to the like the mesh look personally. Yeah, it's coming together quite fast, eh? Should I stop describing things and just leave it up for you guys to come up with the better terminology for it? That's right. You guys can all make fun of how I say certain things. It's okay. I allow it. Just make fun of me all you want. I get it. I get it. Okay, I think I was smart about this, and I prepared by saving this as a blueprint. I thought I saved, I resaved it though as a better blueprint. All right, let's see what I can. I control. I have no power in my stream, my own channel. Let's be real. If anybody has the power, it's Sparrow. She's the moderator. Whether she wanted to be one or not. Hang on. Thought I moved you into place. So I asked the question earlier, but now there's a few more people in the stream. How's everybody's weekend coming along? Yeah, I can definitely agree with you. It is exceedingly warm. We had a heat dome for the entire week. I think we hit 45 this week. Feel like I lost my taps at one point, and I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I'm sorry that you were feeling a little under the weather, Liz, but I'm glad that you're on the mend. When you create something and you forget to blueprint it, it's the worst feeling. Because now the question is, like, do you go back and try to like just copy the blueprint from your other build, so like you open up the other zoo, or do you just build it again from scratch? And that's like a great question to ask, and I don't know what I want to do. So, hey, Blob. So when I first started playing Planet Zoo, I had no idea that you could import custom media. And I learned, I don't know how I learned. I think I learned because I was watching somebody do something, and then I was like, you can do custom media. So I looked around and I found the file with the original custom media. So you have like all of your like examples and stuff like that. But I never placed it into the correct folder. So what I ended up doing is I placed it into the original folder within the game. So a lot of my custom media is actually mixed in with the media that's used for like all the animals and stuff like that. And the reason why I say that is because in this folder I have a bunch of staff screens that I found. One of them's like a pinup board, so you can actually do like a custom pinup board. Found these all online at one point. Definitely struggled doing something like this the first little while. Well, thanks for joining. I'm fantastic, Blob. How's that? How are you doing, man? Thanks for joining today. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Lynn. Now the only thing is I have to figure out what I'm going to put here. I've never made scales in my life. How would I even go about making something like that? It's a good idea. Don't get me wrong. Let's check the workshop. I'll have to look into it. It's a good idea. Well, I have this, which I downloaded from the workshop at one point, which is definitely for like a larger animal. Okay, I'm trying to like envision the scale at my local vet office, which is really weird. The exhibit education box. I have to stop for a second and just I need to appreciate what Lynn just put in the comments, and that has literally made my entire day. That is just amazing. So we could do like something like that. We could replace it with. I'm just gonna do something kind of like. Oh, but you know the downside is that you get the 1 on below it. And then what I guess I could do is I could just like replace this image with like a weight, like a 0 kilogram weight on a black background. Or would it make more sense to have this on the wall? And then we can put the weight right there. I have a confession to make. My wife went camping with her friends for like 3 days at a cottage. I call it camping. It wasn't camping. But we hadn't bought groceries before she left. And I'm not saying I don't go grocery shopping, because I do. But I'm also lazy. And when it came time for me to have my breakfast, there was like, I quote unquote no breakfast in the kitchen. So I ended up just ordering breakfast for the last 3 days. As opposed to just going out and getting groceries to make my own breakfast, I just ordered it instead. I also told my wife the other day that I have the culinary skills of a potato, which is why I don't typically cook very often. I'm happy to say that it absolutely killed her when I said that. I think we were walking in the public when I said it as well. Potatoes are very versatile. They are like everybody loves potatoes. Okay, so I think our backstage is coming together. There's one last thing I really kind of want to do. Twice baked. I'm excited. So we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons this weekend. We postponed it, so our community has postponed Dungeons and Dragons to the following week. But what that does mean is I can play some Baldur's Gate 3 tonight. I think I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate. I haven't played Baldur's Gate in a while, and I actually haven't beaten it yet either. It's about time I literally beat it. No, potatoes are super versatile. They're like the best. Are you gonna play Diablo? You should play Diablo 4 with. Diablo 4 is a multiplayer game, is it not? Like you can play with people. You can play with Blob, right? I'm not crazy in saying that, right? Okay, so we kind of have we have an interior. I think we have to scuff it up a little bit and make it a little bit different. Hey, I'm great. Thank you for joining. This is a franchise zoo. This is our Australian house down under with our we're working on our koala habitat. Which is we've already built a lot of the koala habitat on our previous episode, or a previous live stream rather. But this is it. We're working on the backstage area, which we're just about complete actually, with some like minor like detailing on the floor that we'll have to kind of work through and improve. But we have to figure out what we're gonna do here because this is a terrible looking. Fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe I should pick up Diablo 4. I hear a lot about it. My friend plays it all the time. We have to create something here, some type of facade that we can utilize. You are not the only one who feels that way from time to time with their builds. I think everybody goes through that phase where they're like, man, this build looks terrible. And I bet you it doesn't look terrible. It just, you just gotta take a little bit more practice. There's nothing wrong with that. But try, like, yeah, I think we're all there. I wish the game, I'm running into a pet peeve right now with the game where it never remembers the fact that I was on the world axis, and it keeps on switching me over to relative axis. Axes, not axis. Goodness. Axis is it's singular. Axes would be plural. So I was speaking in the plural, so it would be axes, not axis. Because it happens multiple times. You have a DLC showcase diorama, Alfred? And Arca, I would, you know what? Feel free to share your builds. I think your builds are really good, but you're your biggest critic. And I bet you, if you were to share your builds, which I totally encourage you to do, people would love what you've done, and they might have some fantastic feedback for you to go. But to be honest, in all the time I played this game, I've only ever finished one zoo as well, so I'm also in the same boat. Right on. Buffalo grass makes everything perfect. Well, Blob, you might have some people might have a bone to pick with you. Wall trim. I recently discovered wall trim, and I've used it in a lot of my builds. That is my piece that I'm so obsessed with right now. Thumper's the best. I think a lot of people underestimate the ability of the curved that piece, the Australian rod. But you know what? Like that's how I learned to build, was pulling apart a bunch of pieces and then like seeing what went into it. That's what allowed me to build what I had built. So I definitely see where you're coming from. So I think it works out. I think you built something truly amazing, and I think the majority of the community agrees with me, based off where it sits on the that wall, the workshop. Okay, so I think we're done from the interior. From the exterior perspective, we whipped together something pretty good. It kind of continues that faux Australian house facade, with like a little weird, not quite a balcony, but kind of somewhat a balcony. And then we have our habitat itself, which is looking pretty good. We do need to create something that will allow our koalas to actually get into the building, into their den. You're leaving us on a limb here, Lynn. You're not gonna lie, what? Okay. Thanks, Lynn. I'm really happy with what I can't say what we've put together. I don't think I would have been able to do it without you guys. Truly. That being said, I think we have too many windows, open windows on the top. We have to fix that. But you guys definitely helped to create this. I will not lie. I'll also say, for the first time ever, I built some of this when I was supposed to be at work, which I don't know if I should admit that on this. Okay, so what I'm thinking, let's talk roof for a little bit. So even though we have a bunch of open windows, which we are going to reduce the amount of windows shortly, we have it's a really flat space, and flat spaces don't really work out. So here's my thought process, and let me know if I'm crazy when I say this. I've already placed this particular build piece, which I love. I downloaded this from the workshop. And then we're going to have a second version of this. So it's going to be a way for staff to get to the roof. So it'll be kind of like this. So they can climb up here and then climb up here. We'll have like a little door right here so they can kind of work their way. Hey, Primal! So they can work their way into the backstage area, but then this gives them access to the roof. Now we have ductwork in the building, specifically right here, and we're going to add more ductwork as we kind of go about. You can see it's running across, which inherently means we have to have some type of AC unit. And obviously this is an industrial, like we're looking for an industrial style AC unit. So I found this workshop item, which I thought was really cool. This is an older one. It was how they added ductwork and stuff like that in the game originally. And to me, this is what we want. Now the really cool thing is we can kind of jazz it up a little bit. What I mean by that is we have this fantastic piece now that we can kind of utilize. So we have our intake, we have our exhaust, so the air flows through this way, pushes through the outtake, and then comes through, or the intake. So this will have not the incoming air, but the air that goes into the building. This is going to have the air that comes out of the building out into the exhaust right here, and then we can actually replace these. Oh no, they're the exact same thing. I do not envy you in any way. We were just talking a little bit about the weather earlier. Lynn is also experiencing some pretty crazy heat right now. Some fuse boxes. Okay. So we have our pretty massive top of the roof build. Kind of liking it. Maybe we need to add some switches. So anything else you guys can think that we need to add into this? I don't think so. I can't think of anything else. The smoke effect. I kind of like that. Thanks. Thanks, Lynn. You know what it actually does look like, though? It looks like exhaust, which is actually perfect. Ambient speakers are definitely on the list of things to add. You are right. It would. We definitely need to get some type of music going on in here. So hang on 2 seconds. It's a great suggestion. Let's pause the background music. I think I'm loud enough that if we were to do... All right, let's see what music we have to work with. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Did I pass the Australia music? Oh, Oceania. Australia, okay. Hang on. Oh. I kind of like that one for now. Okay, we're going to go with this one for now. So we'll leave that hanging around for now so I don't forget about it. Okay, cool. So going back to our roof, we have our two industrial style AC units. We'll probably pepper these around everywhere. Oh, that would be really cool. I've only ever fed a giraffe, personally. That was the closest I ever got to feeding an animal. Okay. Trying to think here. Alright, that does look a lot better. I mean, maybe we had too many open windows. Alfred, who gets to say they get to feed squirrels every Sunday, though? Like, that in and of itself is pretty freaking cool. Let's be real here. Another reason why potatoes are the best root out there. Would potatoes be considered roots? All right, what do you guys think of this? It is going to be our path. This is how we're going to cross the glass area. How did I mess that up? I can see why that would be on your bucket list, Primal. Like that would be like a true like once in a lifetime experience. All right, let's see if the second build will actually work as intended. All right, there we go. So the million-dollar question is, how does it look from underneath? You know, that's actually kind of cool. Can you imagine walking in here and seeing like a staff member kind of like trotting across on the top there? Okay, so when we look at rooftop paths as well, most rooftop paths, you don't just walk on the path itself. Only because I feel like that's a huge issue. Oh, I'm going to hang on. So I'm not going to do the same path on the actual roof itself. I want to do something like this. And then 100% we need support beams. So what I'm thinking of doing I feel like that's a well worth it price, $250. So I think from a roof perspective, that definitely adds a lot of extra detail, I think. Trying to think of what else we could put on the roof, though. That would just fill this area up just a little bit more. Sorry, I'm just catching up on it. Sadly, we don't have anything like that in Canada. Which I guess, like, in and of itself is a typical Canadian thing to deal with. All right, everybody. I think from a build perspective, we are pretty much done with our koala habitat. A few minor details left to do. We still have some education content that we have to kind of place down. I want a nice, like a nice education thing that we can kind of like stick right here. I kind of want it to look natural, like more natural. What if we did something like this? I mean, like, you wouldn't be able to read this. So yes, there are other animals coming to the Australian house. So we have our koala, we have our wombat. We're gonna put our platypus here, and they hopefully they'll be able to swim underneath into this little like grotto, I guess would be the best way to describe it as of right now. So we have like a little. So the habitat's gonna kind of feed around. So it's going to kind of go up a little bit and then around and then back down. And then that'll leave us maybe one additional habitat that we can place right here. So that's that is the goal. I like the idea of the mini screens. So here's what I was thinking of maybe trying to do. So what if we did something like... Get rid of this. And then I think color is maybe a little darker. Thanks for joining, Lynn. You left the at the perfect time because I'm gonna wrap it up at this point. I do have plans shortly with my wife, but I like this. I like how this looks. So the only downside. Okay, no, that was an easy fix. And just like that, we have some education. That worked out really well. Thanks for the idea, Primal. And we have some window clings, which weirdly enough should not have on the other side. The only downside is actually getting rid of it. So I guess we'll have to live with it the way it is. But I think, from an education perspective, I think this kind of covers everything. We have a rather open space. So I'm trying to think, like, maybe we'll have, like, a... what if we did something like a... God, I hate how this education thing looks. I feel like we should do this right here, actually. Hang on, let's swap this around. And we'll place our education point. So at least we can get some education from this. And then, learn a lesson. Let's, and then we'll have to carry over some of the underneath part. We'll have to get some piping and stuff like that all the way over, but that'll be pretty easy. But I think all said and done, from a habitat build perspective, I really like how this looks. Even having like that finished interior and having like this little offshoot right here, and then perhaps we'll have like the exit kind of come out right here. So you go in, go around. This will be where our last exhibit goes, and then they can exit out this way, and then they can go either way. So I really like how this is definitely turning out really well, and I gotta say, this is really thanks to everybody who's joined the stream today. Really helped out, and I appreciate the assistance in making this all happen. I don't know what I would do without you guys. So thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. You guys really helped to make this this entire build pop, and I don't know if I would have been able to do it without you guys. So I think here is where we will say ciao for now. In terms of this stream, I think we've accomplished quite a bit. I think the last thing we have to do before we do anything, though, hang on. I said that, and then I'm gonna rescind it just a little bit. There's one thing we have to do. We have to make sure that our barrier actually works. Got to make sure they can actually use the backstage area. Because if we did all this work and it turns out that they can't use the backstage area, I'm going to be really sad. Which I guess also means that we have to... Okay, we'll have to figure out the pathing anyway. We'll figure that out later, but first, let's make sure our koalas are going to be happy. They might be in our trade center. Alright, let's see if this works. Oh, something happened there. I didn't like that because it took a long time to load there. While we're waiting for that to happen, I've also planned out some like additional foliage spots, and I think I'm gonna put a little like restaurant area right here with like some nice like foliage that they can all walk through. So I did that a little bit off camera, kind of fighting with the entire thing. But let's see if oh, hang on, I think we have a koala. Why can't I grab you? There we go. Okay, it cannot make it through here. What if we did this? Oh, I think that worked. But it can't walk on the ground. Why is that? Why don't you like the ground? How did you lose more space? I don't know. I'm confused now, but I think at a minimum they can climb around here. So I think it works. I think that's acceptable. It's not perfect, but it'll work. I was just hanging out on a rock, hovering in the air. Oh man. All right, I think here's the perfect place for us to leave it off with our magically floating koala, which might be my fault, so I'll fix that. But we have 2 koalas, we have a habitat that is actually functional, we have some guests already kind of viewing, and I don't think we could have asked for anything more. So I do want to say again, thank you very much for everybody coming and hanging out with me. on this endeavor that we've set up. Really could not have done it without your guys' help, and I really appreciate it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me. I really appreciate that. Expect to see more live streams. We'll probably do another one next week, I believe. It's Canada Day next week for us, so I don't know. It's very dependent on what plans we have, but we should be there. So hopefully everything will be good to go. Otherwise, thanks for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And as always, ciao for now, everybody. Thanks again for joining, everybody. I really appreciate it. And that is a wrap for today. Ciao for now, everybody.